Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're jumping over to the experimental build to check out the new Spelevator items. Now with it being experimental, bear in mind the required resources are not confirmed and anything can change before they move them to the full game. But it does look like they're going to be implemented, so today we're going to look at how to build the first Spelevator parts. Now if you do find this guide useful, then be sure to hit the thumbs up icon, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Also, let me know what recipes you're planning on using for building the Spelevator parts and why in the comment section below. Anyway, let's jump in. So the first Spelevator part is made in the assembler and consists of 1 part reinforced plate to 1 part rotor. Now I should mention that though we will look at alternative recipes, we won't include more advanced recipes such as the rotor that uses steel pipes to build, as this just adds complication when we can do everything with a single iron node, and it's not something you're going to want to be doing when you're first developing Spelevator parts for the space elevator in the early game. So for this video we're going to be looking at running a Spelevator production as close to 100% efficiency, so do bear in mind that we will be using power cells which are harvested from power slugs after you research overclocking. Now this research will also allow you to underclock where necessary as well, and if this isn't something that you're interested in, then don't worry. I'll show you how to set up a manifold system for the initial basic setup, and that way you won't need to worry about the numbers. Now in order to build the first Spelevator parts using the vanilla recipe, for 100% efficiency we will need a minimum of 6 constructors and 3 assemblers, although to maximize efficiency you'll see that we're using 5 assemblers, 3 creating the parts, then 1 for reinforced frames with a constructor for plates, rods and screws, as well as another assembler for the rotors, which is fed by 3 constructors also, 2 for rods and 1 for screws. Now in order to run this build we need a total of 112 iron ore being smelt into bars and then feeding into the constructors. Now the first set of constructors will need to be run at 24 items per minute, or 160% overclock for the plates, and 24 items per minute or 160% overclock for the rods. We will then overclock the screws also at 160%, and be aware that you need to have a conveyor belt to run the amount of screws produced to be sent into the assembler running at 120% overclock. We will then have on the rotor side the first rod constructor running at 18 items per minute, which is 120% overclock, and the second one at 22 items per minute with 147% overclock, which will then feed directly into the screws, which again also run at 147% overclock, leading to the assembler creating the rotors at 100% efficiency. Now the rotors and the reinforced plates will then be fed into a splitter, and that splits into the 3 assemblers, each creating Spelevator parts at 100% efficiency. Do note, if you're doing this correct, you will be creating 6 reinforced frames per minute and 6 rotors per minute. If, however, you prefer a manifold setup without using an overclock, I recommend using 2 constructors for plates, 6 constructors for rods, of which 3 will continue into 3 constructors for screws. Then run these along a manifold into the 2 assemblers and then onto 3 more assemblers. Now eventually the system will fill up, providing it's fed by enough iron ore, and will then run at its highest possible efficiency. This is an easy setup for you, and if you wish to reduce its footprint, then I recommend using one of the following alternative recipes rather than a manifold. Now our first alternative recipe is one of the first you'll unlock, which is alternative screws, which will allow you to cut out the 2 constructors creating rods, reducing the footprint considerably. Other than that, the build is exactly the same, including the percentage of overclocks. Now, for our final alternative recipe, we will be using 3 alternative recipes: stitched iron plate, iron wire, and alternative screws. Now, for the stitched iron plate, the assembler will be running at 80% underclock, maintaining 6 reinforced plates per minute. We'll then underclock the iron wire to 89% and run the iron plates conveyor alongside it at 80%. Now, we shall also maintain the same rotor build and overclocks with the alternative screws and the iron rods. Now, this recipe uses a total of 77.85 iron ore per minute, which is the most efficient way to run the first Spelevator parts without using steel alternative recipes or alternative iron recipes. So there you are, guys, 3 easy setups running at 100% efficiency for creating the first Spelevator parts. And if you want, you can quite easily double this build up so that you're producing more per minute. Now, if you did find this video helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more guides on Satisfactory. And if you want to chat with other like-minded gamers, feel free to join our Discord, the link's below. Anyway guys, until next time, thanks for watching, ciao for now.